Pelvic tilts. On all fours, hands directly under your shoulders, palms flat on the mat. Externally rotate your shoulders slightly to stabilize them and keep your back flat and aligned. You want your knees about hip-width apart. Start off by inhaling, big belly breath in, relaxing the pelvic floor muscles and tilting your pelvis outwards so that you essentially stick your butt out. Then as you exhale, you contract your core and pelvic floor muscles, pulling them up, 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 and you tilt your pelvis underneath you, tucking your tailbone under, keeping your back flat and aligned. Inhale, your butt comes out, the pelvis tilts back. Exhale, your pelvis tucks under and your pelvic floor contracts and pulls up. Your back is nicely aligned throughout. I did 12 steady and slow reps. This is no race. Bird dogs with pelvic floor control. On all fours, your back flat and your shoulders externally rotated back and down. Inhale, your belly comes out, your pelvic floor relaxes. Exhale, your belly and pelvic floor contracts. You lift up those pelvic floor muscles and you lift your left arm and right leg. Fully extend them out. Squeeze your glutes, your butt muscles slightly at the top, and relax your neck throughout. Fully reach out into full extension. Control your pelvic floor and just focus on good quality reps. I did 7 reps on each side. Notice how I'm not swaying from side to side here. I've got good control over my body and my back is nice and flat. Stretch out once you're finished into child's pose, leaving enough room for that belly. And then gently just sway onto the front, getting your weight to come onto the front of your hands and pulling those hips back. So the great hip and back stretch, just lubricating the joints before starting the workout. Good mornings to overhead squat. This mobility exercise is incredible. Feet hip-width apart. It's a hip hinge movement, so relax your knees so that your legs are not too rigid. Stand upright and brace your core. Pull your shoulders back and down. Take a breath and hinge forward from your hips, not your waist, allowing a slight bend in your knees, but keep your back nice and flat. Lean forwards until you feel a slight stretch in your hamstrings, but don't go beyond horizontal. Then as you exhale, push your hips back to 90 degrees so that you're in a squat position. Make sure when you're getting into your squat position that you pull your hips nicely back and down. Keep the weight in the back of your heels. Don't let your knees come over your toes, and make sure your spine is fully aligned and neutral throughout this position. Your pelvic floor and your core are fully supported and your neck is nicely relaxed. I did 7 nice and controlled reps. Following this, I put my hands behind my head and I went into some nice, slow and controlled bodyweight squats, keeping my core and pelvic floor braced throughout and the weight in the back of my heels pulling my hips back and down. If you're finding it difficult to go as low as I'm going in the squat, don't worry, just go according to your level. If that's a little bit higher, that's okay. Just keep moving. I did 7 nice and slow squats here. Facing the front, just reach your hands up and down. Keeping your shoulders pulled down, your feet firmly into the ground. Now reaching over from left to right, just stretching out those muscles, lubricating those joints. Reaching overhead, keeping your core nice and tight. This is not a big movement at all. And now just following some big circles, reaching all the way up, inhaling and exhaling as you come down. Notice how my knees are always slightly bent. Our first strength exercise is the elevated heel squats. I've chosen to do these with small weights on my shoulders, but you can also do these without the extra weight. I've just used a big book to elevate my heels, as that's something I had at home. Squats are incredible for your pregnancy, and as a strength exercise in general, squats strengthen your glutes and give your body a big muscle group to stabilize the weight of your baby bump. The stability and strength reduces your chances of getting low back pain when supporting your growing baby. This type of squatting is perfect for if you have poor ankle mobility. The posterior weight shift also helps you keep your pelvis underneath you during the movement. Always check in with your body, so if you're feeling any pain or pressure on the pelvic floor region, then stop straight away. Don't do these if you feel any extra pressure on your knees. Revert back to the normal non-elevated heel squats if you experience this. Don't hold your breath throughout this movement, and make sure that on the down, you're relaxing your pelvic floor, and on the up, you're contracting and supporting your core. Grabbing your small weights again, we're going to do some straight leg deadlifts. Straight leg deadlifts are amazing for the hamstrings. They're the back of your thighs. These are the primary movers in this exercise. The glutes, so your butt muscles, assist in the movement. You're also going to feel your strengthening of your lower back, which is really important when supporting the growth of your bump. So your hamstrings, glutes, and your lower back. It's really important in the growth of the bump, but also during labor, you need to have strong glutes and leg muscles to support the endurance of labor. Notice here how I'm doing a hip hinge movement and I'm not actually bending forcefully at the knees. All the movement is coming from my hips, hinging backwards. My back is straight throughout. The tempo of this is I'm going down, coming up halfway, down and back up, squeezing the glutes as I come up. The whole time through the movement, I'm supporting my pelvic floor and my core, and I'm making sure I'm pulling my shoulders back and down. You might not be able to go as low as me, and that's okay. Just go as far as you can go. It could just be a mobility, a range issue. Alright, heading back in for our second round of elevated heel squats, making sure that on the inhale, you're relaxing your pelvic floor, exhale, you're contracting, pulling up the pelvic floor and supporting your core and hugging your baby. Remember, if at any point that these feel uncomfortable or pain in the pelvic region, then stop straight away. Another round of straight leg deadlifts. Remember that this is a hip hinge movement, so you want to be using your hips to hinge back into the movement, pushing your butt back. Always supporting your core, your pelvic floor, and your lower back. If you feel that your back is working during this movement, that's normal because this movement does work your back, your glutes, and your hamstrings predominantly. Of course, if you feel any pain in the lower back or pain in other areas of your pelvic region or in the body, then stop straight away. For the last round of my elevated heel squats, I went for no weights, but I changed up the tempo. So I'm going down for 4, inhaling, relaxing the pelvic floor, then supporting my pelvic floor and my core as I hold for 3 at the bottom, and exhaling, contracting the pelvic floor, squeezing as I come up, especially squeezing the glutes and tightening that pelvic floor. Remember to keep your back nice and flat throughout, pulling back the hips, making sure that you're almost sitting onto a chair. So it's as if a chair is behind you. Make sure that your knees don't go over your toes during this movement. Hold your Pilates band, just pop it under both legs. We're going to be doing some straight leg deadlifts, nice, slow and controlled, supporting the pelvic floor and squeezing the glutes as you come up. Inhale, belly comes up, pelvic floor relaxes. Exhale, contract the pelvic floor, support your core, hug the baby, squeeze the glutes. We're going for 10 nice, slow and controlled reps, then 10 mini pulses with holding at the bottom, and finishing off with 10 normal pace reps. Remember the hip hinge movement, nice straight back. Your shoulders are slightly externally rotated, pulling back and down. Sumo heel lifts, punches and squats. So going into a nice wide stance, supporting your pelvic floor, your core, and pulling your hips back so you go down into the sumo squat. Lift your heels up and down. Fully extend your arms, punching out in front of you using the small weights, or as an option you can take the weights off and just use your arms. You might not be able to go as fast or as low as me, and that's okay. You have to adjust to your level. I am here at 20 weeks pregnant, but you could be a little bit bigger, or your bump could be a different size as well. Now just going into some sumo bodyweight squats, squeezing the glutes all the way up and pulling the hips back down. Always supporting the core and the pelvic floor as you do the movement. Check in with your body, make sure that you have no aches and pains whilst doing this as well. A nice heart raiser, butt kicks with the mini weights in your arms. We're going for 1 minute. Start by just pulling the heels towards your butt and lifting your arms up and down. I am doing a slight small hop whilst I'm doing this and moving around. You can choose to do this on one spot and without the hop. So you don't have to have the bounce in this movement. Again, you have to adjust it to your needs and how you're feeling on the day. Make sure your core is nice and tight and supported throughout the movement. Continuing with the butt kicks, we're just changing the position of the arms, pushing them, fully extending them out in front of you and pulling the elbows back at about shoulder height. Side step, reach and curtsy. Beware, after the other exercises we have done, 1 minute of this does burn. Make sure to reach those arms nice and wide, getting that fully reach position, opening up that chest. And with the curtsy, you want to try and come as low as possible so that you really get that nice bend in the knee. There's an option here to add a little jump, but it's a very small jump, not a massive impact at all. Switch over to the other side halfway through the movement. The bigger the step that you take, or the lower you go with your curtsy lunge, the harder the movement is going to be. Additionally, if you add a hop to this movement and you really reach those arms, it's going to make the movement harder too. Fire feet session for 1 minute. Keep the weights in towards your body, tighten the core, and just move those feet as fast as you can. Now changing it up, going into outs and ins. Again, keeping it nice, quick fire. Lifting those arms above your head to add a bit more push to the exercise. Keep moving those feet nice and fast. Keep tightening that core. Bring the arms back in and starting again at the beginning, nice and fast in position 1. Tiny pitter patter of the feet, staying light on your toes at all times. Out and in. Try to pick up that pace. Lifting those arms up ahead. Bring your shoulders down so that they're not pushing towards your ears. Doing some strength for the arms. We're going to start off with some bicep curls. Picking up your weights. Your feet are about hip width apart. Your shoulders are back and down, so externally rotate them and support your core and your pelvic floor. Just starting with some. Make sure to squeeze those biceps, not using your back but your biceps. Keep your elbows in, tucked in towards your body so that they're not flaring out. Keeping your shoulders back and down. A nice slight bend in your knees. Going in for the wide bicep curl. So turn your arms out a little bit wider. Again, squeezing at the bicep and coming back down. This is a nice slow and controlled tempo. Don't hold your breath at any time throughout the exercise. Bringing the weights to about shoulder height, you're going to push up into a V. Fully extending the arms as you go up and bringing them back down to the shoulders to finish the rep. Support your core even more when you're pushing the weights over your head. Coming in for some hammer curls. You want to make sure the weights are vertical, so not horizontal but vertical. Again, using the biceps to bring them up towards your shoulders and back down. You need to fully extend to finish the rep. Back in for another set of V pushes. Make sure to check in with your core and your pelvic floor that everything is nice and supported. Popping the weights down and picking up your lighter weights. We're just going to do some tiny pulses, so just bicep curls but tiny pulses halfway. Again, keeping the elbows towards the body and your shoulders back and down. This burns a little bit, but just push through. It's all worth it in the end. Now going for the bottom half of the bicep curl. Note that these are wider bicep curls, so they're the wide bicep curls that we did in the second round of bicep curling. So just coming up towards your belly button. Now going in for the full rep, so all the way up and down. Fully extend those arms at the bottom. Make sure you're supporting your pelvic floor and your core. Your shoulders pulled back, your spine nice and strong. There's a slight bend in your knees, of course, so that you're not too rigid. And breathe. Stay with me. I know it's a long circuit. Alright, picking up that Pilates band, you're just going to pop it under both of your legs, grabbing hold of the band where you see fit. Obviously, the lower you go onto the band, the harder it is. The higher you go, the easier it is. Just doing some regular bicep curls here. This is great for strengthening and lengthening those muscles. This is where you're really going to start to feel the burn of this circuit. You won't even need to hold so far down on the Pilates band because you'll already feel it from the first rep. Shake off those shoulders. And let's go in for some mini pulses. Keeping those elbows in towards the body, squeezing the biceps as you pulse up and down. Side-stepping box, so we got 1 minute here, just raising those heart rates, getting a bit of cardio and a bit more movement into the workout. So picking up the small weights, with that jab you want to fully extend your arm, making sure it's nice and powerful. Make sure there's a nice good bend in your knees, so you're getting low, especially when you're doing the dodging of the punches. Keeping in theme with the boxing, we're going to jab, uppercut, lift those arms nice and high, and then do a firm double knee. Making sure to brace your core and your pelvic floor. You're pivoting with your hips as you do the uppercut, so you're not twisting your abdomen at all. You're doing a nice firm pivot, bending those knees so that you're in a nice split stance, so that you're supporting your body and you're not getting off balanced. Of course, you don't need to go as fast as I am. You can go at your own pace, but make sure when you do bring that knee up, it's nice and powerful. Switching over to the other side halfway through. Tricep circuit, just follow along, making sure to pick up your small weights, pushing those hips back so it's a nice hip hinge movement, supporting your back, keeping it nice and straight. And you're going to fully extend your arms, lifting so that you're doing a nice tricep kick back at the back. You want to hold for a few seconds at the top and come back down. Keeping those elbows in towards your body, Notice how I'm inhaling, my belly comes out, exhaling, the belly comes in slightly as I'm supporting the pelvic floor and the core a little bit more on the extension. Now going in for some singles, one arm at a time. Remember, you want to fully extend that arm to get that full tricep extension. Pulling your shoulders back and down. Now you want to change the position of your hands so that your palms are facing backwards, and as you extend outwards to the back, your palms are going to be facing up. So it's like you're lifting the weight slightly with that extension. Tiny pulses really to feel the burn. Keep those arms nice and extended and hold at the top here. And release. Well done, guys. Oh, this glute circuit is an absolute killer. Putting your hands directly under your shoulders, keeping a nice neutral and straight back. You want to externally rotate your hands ever so slightly to support your shoulders and pulling them back and down. Notice how I've crossed my leg over so that my one leg, the starting position, is actually crossed over my ankle, and then I'm going to push up into the donkey kick. So pushing my toe up towards the ceiling. And now I'm going to go into some nice straight legs. So bringing that knee back into the start position and then kicking that leg, fully extending it out straight. My leg is still crossed over, so I'm still at an angle with this position. And now fully extending the leg and just lifting up, squeezing the glute nice and tight. Now we're going to go into some hamstring curls. So keeping that leg nice and high, you're going to bring your heel in towards your bum. This is amazing for the back of the leg, so your hamstring. Try and keep your pelvic floor and belly supported. Okay, let's do the other side. So again, getting into your nice straight position, supporting yourself, crossing that leg over, pointing that toe and pushing it up towards the ceiling. So you've got 8 reps of the donkey kicks, then 8 reps of the straight leg kicks, 8 pulses, etc. This really starts to burn after a while. Trust me, this circuit is a demon. The main thing here is that you keep on squeezing those glutes nice and tight, you keep your belly supported, and that your back is nice and straight. In for those hamstring curls. You can come back into child's pose, making sure you adjust the position of your knees so you have space for your belly. Just breathe here for a few seconds because we're going to start the circuit again. We've got to do this one more time on each leg, and then you can go into a nice stretch session. This is where you're really going to feel the burn. So whatever you do, just keep relaxing the neck, keep the arms nice and straight, support your core and belly, and squeeze the glutes. Strong glutes, strong hamstrings are all amazing for when you're giving birth, but also for after the birth when you've got the baby and you've got to pick he or she up from the floor or pick up their toys, etc. Come back into child's pose before we start the last bit of this circuit. Just finishing off on the other side. Cross that leg over. You are almost there, guys. You've done such a good job all the way through the circuit. Just stay with me for the last bit of this circuit. Adjust your positioning at any time if you feel that it's not correct. You want quality over quantity reps here. Finishing off those hamstring curls. And finally coming into child's pose. You can breathe here, making room for your belly. Big belly breaths in and out. Pull the hips back and you can bring your arms by your side if you want to go into a total full relaxation. This is the end of your workout. We're just going to stretch it out ever so slightly just to finish you off. You can of course continue to stretch yourself after this is finished, just so you can get all the muscle groups that you need to. Every body is different. Bring your feet nice and flat, pull your hips back and get into a nice deep squat. Making sure your back is nice and straight. You can stretch out your neck a little bit here. You can push your knees out with your elbows. This is also great for a hip opener, preparing you for the birth, and just wiggle around here from side to side. I like to have a little bit of a stretch in the upper body as well, but don't over twist your torso. Just go to where you feel is comfortable. My next stretches I've done on my back, but of course if you are late into your second trimester and you don't feel comfortable on your back, you've got any tightness in your chest, difficulty breathing, tingling in the legs, then don't come onto your back during exercise or stretching. Just stretching out those hamstrings, just tuck one foot in towards your thigh and the other one nice and extended. Well done guys, that's the end of your workout. That was not easy. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, reach out to me, let me know if you liked the workout at all. Alright, bye for now.